It's so cool to see him be that clean, scary, game face murdering Korean Protoss that he was back in the day.
You gotta love the decision making as well, right? He goes for that proxy robo early on. Obviously, Showtime is respecting it. Showtime scouts it. It's just like, all right, then it's not gonna be good anymore. Cancels it immediately, goes for the oracles instead, and he knows that he's always gonna be able to drag the game out because Showtime cannot just move out if there's 2 oracles out on the map. And then let's not forget that maybe in the beginning of the game, I don't mind Showtime poking with the 4 stalkers, but eventually the weapons are gonna catch up, right? Like 4 stalkers would be really good against 2 adepts and 2 stalkers, but then it's like 3 stalkers and 2 adepts, and then it was 4 stalkers and 2 adepts, and then the oracle suddenly showed up as well. Showtime just kind of overstepping his boundaries in the early game.
And getting really punished for it. Game number 2 is going to be on Ephemeron. Guys, let's get into it. Showtime and Zest battling it on. In the bottom right here from Berlin International Gaming, it is the German Protoss, Showtime.
And big he is. In the left top side, representing Raise Your Edge, it is our Korean Protoss player, Zest. Man, if he goes 4-0 in this group, I mean, obviously I did expect Zest to finish top 3, just because he's been looking good lately. Not just in-game, but in real life as well, as he always does. But I didn't really expect him to monster mode this group. I mean, you just kind of expected this group to be a little bit all over the place, right? Like, maybe Zest does beat a Reyna, but maybe Reyna beats Rogue, and then Rogue beats Zest, something along those lines. You expected some crazy stuff to happen. And obviously this PvP series is not done yet, but if Zest takes this one as well, he is looking incredibly good to take first place.
Yeah, Reyna was on a 4-0 streak in the group to start things off with. In fact, even at the start of the series with Zest, Reyna was 5-0.
Yep.
But then the next 2 maps went the Protoss' way, and he was the first guy to upset the Italian Stallions run.
I mean, obviously, it is very important to finish first. The top 3 does advance into the playoffs, but the way it works is the 4 group winners will be seeded immediately into the quarterfinals, while the second place finisher of, let's say, Group A has to go up against the third place finisher of Group B and vice versa. So, finishing first, second, or third is actually a pretty big difference.
Yeah, absolutely right. Zest actually dropping another pylon out in a weird spot. So it looks very similar to Nightshade, where you get a pylon not near your opponent, but in a place where you could potentially put something like, say, a Robo or a Stargate. And even though it's far away, as long as your opponent doesn't know it's there, can be extremely effective.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to use this one. I feel like this is too awkward of a spot to build a Robo. It's too risky, right? Because you don't ever want to lose your Robo. Stargate is a possibility, but I don't think he's going to use it at all.
No, the probe isn't even there.
Yep. It's just like one of those moments where you hope Showtime is in your main base and Showtime spots only a single pylon, which is exactly the case here. But Showtime is not crazy. He also knows that this is part of the mind games in PvP. Just because a pylon is missing doesn't necessarily mean that Zest is also dropping tech somewhere out on the map.
Yeah, quite right. This matchup is really so mind-gamey. So many ways to instantly die and so many different counters, so you have to, information is key. Feels more so in this matchup than any of the other matchups in StarCraft. Obviously, scouting is always important. In PvP, you can just instantly die if you don't know what's coming at you and you have the wrong preparation. He sees that pylon, nothing there though, so Showtime's just going to proceed his build as normal.
It's funny because these maps are big. It's actually hard to find these things, right? Like obviously if you watch the Fog of War, you're like, oh, just go there and then you find it. But if you're actually playing, it feels like there are so many tiny little corners to spot. These guys are so freaking good that they just seem to always find what's out there.
And Zest is just going to start that natural nexus a little bit quicker. Both players going for an expansion build, so a very standard opening for both players. It looks like they're going to be heading towards the mid-game without too much scuffles. I mean, it seems like they're too good to just throw 2 stalkers away. That's the only way I could see this going any quicker, but...
No, that kind of a pylon, that's a little more dicey. I can see him maybe warping an extra gateway there, but it could also just be for a couple of adepts eventually to be warped in. But I think there's a good chance that Zest wants to get a little bit eager. I find this risky by Showtime to go to the other side of the map, upper ramp, extra sentry show up as well. The micro really good so far on both sides, I gotta say. And I think this is going to be a trade, but it's very close. Actually, it's not a trade. Oh, but he doesn't even get the other one.
Yeah, that stalker was one shot. Zest is still on the chase.